Hi, Matt Delacruz here, President and CEO of the Winning Minds Group, John Maxwell team. And just want to say thanks just for taking the time to listen to what I have to share with you today. It's going to take maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes, just sharing some ideas on sales success strategies, how to be more effective as a program coordinator, and with Dee and Paul reaching out to me and let me share some skills with you on that. And one of the things I've had the opportunity of, not only just face-to-face sales, but over 30 years of sales experience, a lot of it was on the telephone and setting appointments. To me, that's a breed second to none. A lot of people can't do that, but the people that are most effective can set the own appointment, set up the qualification sequence, get the decision makers on the phone, do the process, and close or enroll in your case. So program coordinators, just share some ideas with you today, but I want to take you through what I believe is the most important part to be an effective program coordinator. And to me, there's about a third of it is product knowledge, having the knowledge about what happens when they join the JMT. And again, I'm going back a year and I can share my experience when I had my program coordinator on how they reached out to me and pretty much went through the process and identifying the needs and then obviously kind of relaxing to build that relationship and then obviously going for the commitment of enrollment. But I'll share my insights on what I went through and how I felt, which my program coordinator, she did a great job, by the way. And so I want to just share some great ideas with you on that. But number one is product knowledge. You got to have the product knowledge on it to be effective on the phone, to get somebody involved, to invest $5,000 of their security, their money. You got to make sure that they feel comfortable with that. But you got to have in-depth knowledge of product. Number two, or the second thing I would recommend is probably more of that mindset, that attitude, getting yourself in state. If you're not mentally prepared to be able to pick up that phone and start for that phone appointment and then go through the next appointment, follow up on the emails, then you probably might lose a little bit more on that. And the third thing to me, I believe that's probably the most important part, is the skill set. The one thing about selling I've learned over the years, and I teach this, is you cannot fake selling. Especially when you're paid 100% fee-for-service commission and you're earning your income based on your performance, which I know you program coordinators, that's how you earn your income, but you got to make sure that the skill set is always at the highest level. And there are 7 basic skills in the profession of selling. You've got prospecting, referral and non-referral prospecting. In your case, you're very fortunate. You don't have to do any cold calling. Most of your referrals is coming in where you're getting thousands of leads that are coming in, either from Facebook or A Minute with Maxwell or however we're getting the leads. But now we got to make sure that we sort through them and find out and do a proper needs analysis with them, which we'll cover in the third skill. But the second skill, I think to be effective, again, on the phone, you're really going to have to make that good initial contact. We don't want to come across as a salesperson. You don't want to come off as a closer. Again, first seek to understand, then to be understood. Then you go into the third skill set, which is the qualification sequence, the needs analysis, finding out what they want, finding out what they need, and for us to provide exactly what they need and how overall this program is going to fit their needs. And then we'll talk about the fourth skill. It's called more of the presentation demonstration. Today it's more of value proposition selling. And the 3 keys in value proposition are so important that I see that you have to do, especially on the telephone. And then we'll talk about overcoming objections, cost too much, get it for less, friend of the business, sleep on it, think it over. The biggest stalls that we always hear that you have to be super, super good at overcoming objections. Let me put it this way. If you're not getting objections, they're probably not interested. And then, of course, the 6th skill is the closing skills, the ability to ask for the order, get a commitment. Now, closing isn't a hard sale. Closing is just asking for people for the order. People want to be asked. We find today that most people never got the sale because they were never asked. And consumers even say that. It was a great guy, great gal. Too bad they didn't ask for my business. But we have to be able to know when to close. And one of the things that I was taught by my teacher and mentor, Tom Hopkins, he pretty much says, make yourself close too soon and too often, and thus you'll develop your own closing instinct. And every salesperson is going to be a little bit different on how they do it, because you got to have that, what we call that X factor, know when to ask. Because sometimes when you get this on an emotional roller coaster, and then of course as a program coordinator, that's exactly what you're getting them from. They're getting excited, they're wanting to call, they want to know more information about it, you get them at the peak, and then sometimes we talk them out of it because we put them at a lull, and their emotional levels are super low. Logically it makes sense, but emotionally they have to commit. And then the seventh skill is the referral follow-up generation part. And to me, that's most important today, especially in the business that we're doing. I've been in the business now for over 20 years of promoting seminars in 28 major cities all over the country. And it starts from making a cold call, getting the appointment, getting in front of the people, and getting people to buy a ticket to go to the event. So we know how the process works, we understand it. Now we just gotta fine-tune it to where it fits into the skill set for the program coordinator. So just kind of a few ideas on how we're gonna take this to where you are. Again, after I went through the scripts and looking at the scripts, it's great. But now we want to just kind of fine-tune a couple of skills that I want to share with you that I told Paul I would do. But always remember this, you should always have two what I call pipelines full, or referrals. Or two pipelines or two funnels, I'm sorry. And one should be a referral and one should be a non-referral pipeline. And you need to fill them up every single day. In your case, you might distinguish them as hot, warm, and cold. And so on the first call when it comes in, you call and then you send an email on the follow-up, you're booking the appointment. Remember, when you set up an appointment, you're asking for a person to get a commitment from these people. And it's so important today that you can. Now keep in mind, and I mentioned this to Dee, that one of the skill sets you need today is you got to have the ability to be able to connect with people today. And again, like what John talks about in his book, everyone communicates, few connect. The way that people are connecting today is pretty much 97% of the people today are returning and are texting. So the first thing that I do when I'm on the phone, I always get everyone's cell phone number. Here's why. They're going to respond to a text quicker than they will everyone else. So again, 97% of the people return and are texting today. Only 40% are actually looking and reading emails and responding to emails, 40%. And the last part is the good old voicemail trick. It's pretty much on its way out. The average person returns a voicemail call 4 to 5 days later. So what it's doing is it's bogging down your pipeline or your funnel if you're leaving constant voicemails. Remember, nobody wants to hear what you have to say on the voicemail, but I guarantee if you can get their cell phone numbers and you can start texting these people, they will respond. I love it because if they give you their cell phone number, they're ready to make that connection. They're somewhat committed and they do want to do business with you in the future. So keep in mind when you go through that whole process. That would be more on the original contact skill set today. One of the skills I love about doing that is just being able to having the ability to get their cell phone and start connecting via cell phone by texting. All right. I know that you can't do it with everybody, but you can do it with the majority of the people today because just about every single person today has a cell phone. Even the millennials, even the baby boomers, they know how to text today. So use that as an excuse to say, I'm going to get their cell phone, and ask them, hey, by the way, is there any way that I can get your cell phone? That way I can get in touch with you if anything else comes up of something of an urgent matter. Wonderful. Ask them for it, they'll give it to you. So that would be the first thing that I would say to be able to do. Get their cell phone numbers, start texting them to get that commitment for the appointment. So going through your process, you call them, you send them an email, day number 2, you got the appointment. Now what you want to do is when you get them on the appointment, to me this is probably the most important part. Because if you think about it, and I was just there at the August 3-day live training, and I was excited because I got that 1-day bonus one, so that was excited about that. So it worked out for me. It was a benefit. It was a sense of urgency, where I got that 1 day where a lot of people, not everybody got that, plus early registration. To me, I'll pay for that, get early registration, not to wait in line. But to me, that's a benefit to me. So you have to look at, what is this person all about? And when you go into the needs analysis part of it, find out, why do they want to join the JMT team? So why do they want to join the JMT? Find out what their why is, and then they'll help you determine the how on how you're going to get them enrolled. So let me give you an example. If you're calling and you're talking to somebody and they're excited about the opportunity, or they heard something about that, some of them may want to be a speaker one day. I know that being at the live event, I met a lot of people, and a lot of the people want to be speakers. And like I always tell people when they ask me, say, how did you start doing what you're doing? I said, I work with some of the best speakers in the world, and I followed in their footsteps. I became a student of theirs, and the doors opened up for me to become a speaker, but my name was recognized because of my speakers, the Zig Ziglars, and of course the Tom Hopkins and the Tony Robbins. That's how I got recognized on that, but I started speaking. So maybe someone does want to be a speaker. Ask them what they want to speak on. Do they want to do leadership? Have they spoke before? What kind of content is it? What's their story? And once you can get them engaged with that, you'll see how it all ties in, because it's what you hear in your first conversation is going to later on help you close the sale or get the enrollment. The second thing I always found out about the live event is a lot of people are there because their company sent them. Maybe the company wants them to get certified so they can bring it back and they can teach John's material to the office or the company. You need to find out what about it's something that they not wanted to do, but the company wanted them to do because the company's sponsoring them to be able to do that. If I heard that one and the company's sponsoring it, I'll tell you one thing right now, as a program coordinator, I would say that's a hot one. I know that the company's got the money. The company, it is probably not going to go on the payment program. It would probably be in the best interest, as I go through my questioning, to ask them about how soon they were looking to get enrolled. By the way, our next live training, registration open today. We can get you signed up today. And especially if they're using a company credit card or check, there's a one-time call close. If I was identifying that the company was paying for that participant to go through the training and get certified. And then you've got to go through the other part of it. Some people it's something that they want to build a business, or it's something they've always wanted to do, but they're not going to do full-time, they're going to do it part-time. And maybe those are the people who might have a real job, and yet they may want to do this, but it's somewhere down the line when they're done with their sales career, they're done with what they're working at right now. There might be something a little bit different. So you may want to look at it that way too, but that's the first thing I would do. In the qualification sequence, identify the need, find out why they want to join the organization, be a part of the JMT team, and then let's figure out how they can help us get them enrolled by just asking the questions. But always pay attention to what they're saying, and you can kind of gauge a little bit more about where their emotional state is, whether they're gung-ho, they're ready to rock and roll, and just let them know about, the next registration, the next live event is March. Have you ever seen John before? Ask him the questions. What books have you read? How did you hear from him? And then you're going to have also some of the ones that might be pastors or part of a church congregation to where they're bringing the information back to the leadership team at the church. You've got to identify all those needs, which I'm sure you already do, but I would design more questions to go deep, but the questions that I ask and the questions that you ask are going to trigger whether or not you go in for a test close. Because I see so many people just blah, 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 and all of a sudden we missed our attempt to close, to get the enrollment. So kind of keep that in mind as you go through that skill set and just go ahead and devise a bunch of questions that are going to trigger that you can bridge to a test close and then go into a final close. The third skill that I think is probably one of the biggest challenges that most salespeople have is they don't know how to overcome objections. And overcoming objections is nothing more than it's a request for more information. If they object, it's to say, hey, tell me some more. I don't have enough to rationalize the decision. Give me some more. So I would say probably the biggest ones would be cost. This is where you have to kind of really loop it in to devising the game plan of the payment plan. I think it's $1,700 or $1,690 for the payments for so many months, and then it pays the whole thing. But you want to use that, but don't throw it at them first. Use that only as the final leverage part, if they can do that. But I would go through that process. And again, not everyone's going to be able to do that. So as you go from your second to third appointment on the call and you find out where they are, they go into finally the drip campaign, then you kind of just say, okay, I need to work with this pipeline, because this pipeline on this side, I've got 20 people that are hot, they're going to close before the live event. Or let's just say by the end of December, these people will close. And you'll be able to judge that. You'll be able to kind of get a good feel for it. But the better you can get them to like you, trust you, respect you as an expert advisor with John Maxwell, yeah, you'll see that they're going to open up a little bit more to you. They're going to start telling you, they'll start telling you the truth. And some of them will tell you where they just don't have the money right now. It's something they were looking into, maybe next year, but it was great for the information. And you're going to know, you're going to get some of those. I'm sure you already get those. But overcoming the objections, going through it costs too much. One of the things that the feedback is that when they say it costs too much, just feed it back to them and say, today most things do. Can you tell me about how much too much you feel it is? And if they say, well, I don't have the whole 5,000, then you say, well, you may have an interest then in our payment program, which will still include some of the bonuses that I talked to you about the bonuses. I kind of go through the bonuses on that and let them know. And then they start saying, oh, I like that. That's a great one. It gives you that trigger, that hot button to now you bridge into that one and then you tie it in. And then always go into that test closing part and say, I guess the only decision we need to make today is how soon you'll be getting involved in not only just utilizing the tremendous amount of content that's on the JMT website, but also getting excited to be excited about joining the live event in March and being there that one-day event. By the way, do you have a credit card that you want to use this for, or do you want to send a check? What's the best way for the method of investment? So going into the test close with that. And then the final part of the closing is just kind of going through and maybe using what we call a triplicate of choice for money, whether it be the payment up front, take advantage of the tax advantages they can do before the year's over. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that, and just summarizing everything from this process. But just to kind of recap, the skill set that you need, that I believe, especially on the inside or on the phone sales, is to make that good initial contact, to get the trust, like, and respect. Then going into the needs analysis, the fact finding, the interview process. What is the why? Do they want to join the organization? Why do they want to be a part of the JMT? And then let's let them help us figure out the how we're going to get them enrolled. And then, of course, overcoming the objections and value proposition. Remember, the three keys to value proposition is how well you resonate with them. And then, of course, the second thing is how you differentiate yourself from all the other coaching companies out there, the Tony Robbins, the Mike Ferries, all the other people out there. How are we different? Why are we different? And of course, the last thing is to be able to back it up. How do we substantiate it? And we all have testimonies. They can send them to the website. I mean, the Minute with Maxwell, have them stay on that. I mean, there's so many different tools that we have right now that we can leverage to get these people to be a part of the John Maxwell team. And then just wrapping it up on the last part, be careful, because I know that many people still sell with the features and they don't sell the benefits, which will really much tie into the needs analysis of qualification as you get into the value proposition, the presentation skills. Remember, everyone sells the features. You'll never sell the features. The features are the logic. You want to sell the benefits, and the benefits are the emotion. So people buy emotionally but defend the purchase logically. So when they're making a $5,000 investment or $1,700 a month investment for, I forgot, 4, 5, 6 months, the logic is going to hold them back. But the emotional part is what they gain after they sign up, after they're part of our team. And you know as well as I do, once you get on that website and you go through that training, it can be overwhelming. And I bet you probably, if not 90%, 95% of the people, and not me being a part of the mentorship, there's so much content in there that they're adding. There is no way you can go through, absorb it, and be effective on that. It's a great process. It's always there. And to me, that would be the number one benefit. So if you look at the features and the benefits, remember, feature is what your product or service has or does. The benefit was what it does specifically for the client. So your goal as a program coordinator, let's find out how they benefit. But the benefit comes from when you asking, not telling. If you tell them, they doubt it. If they say it, it's true. So don't tell them how much they get. We got to make sure we go through the benefit part on how what the benefits they derive after they become part of the team. So just, again, I threw a bunch of stuff at you today. I wanted to give you an idea and some feels of how we can take where we are right now to the highest level And remember, the national average, the national closing ratio today across the country is about 33%. Even if we round it off to 35%, there's still 65% that we're leaving on the table. And I don't know it, and I think the Dee said there's like 60 of you all over the world, but think about it. How many of the sales are we leaving on the table? And all you have to do is just make 1 or 2 adjustments on the skill set. Again, you complement with the mindset, and then you go through the product knowledge, and you start learning all these benefits. This will make all the difference in the world. So keep that in mind. Again, I hope this helps you a little bit. If anything, just gives you some insights and ideas on what I might be able to bring to the table as we discuss possibilities of me coming out and just helping you guys enhance what you're already doing. But in closing on it, I guess the one thing I wanted to share with you is the reason why I'm part of the John Maxwell team is, number one, the brand. It is probably the best brand in the world. And not only just leadership, but respect, integrity, and training. That's why I chose to be a part of the John Maxwell team. The second thing is the unlimited content of information, that now the more valuable I can become, the more value that we can add to the others. And that's the whole part of the John Maxwell philosophy. So again, take this to heart, use and apply what I shared with you today, and I hope it helps, because just one idea translated into action will give you the vast wealth amount. So thank you so much, I appreciate it.